Hello and welcome to the next video of my LPL Spring Split 2023 preview series. We're covering LGD. If you missed yesterday's videos, I covered IG and JDG. They were at the opposite ends of the spectrum, and the pendulum has swung back to IG's side when it comes to LGD, a team that looks like an utter mess. So that's not an improvement over last year. Last year, LGD went 7-25 between the two splits. Not a good team. 14-26 at the LDL level. So not only do they have a problem at the top half of their organization, but also at the bottom half in terms of the foundation of the prospects that they would hope to bring up this year to improve. This team does not, just does. With IG, at least, like, YSKM is like a player like, oh, well, there's something there. TNGN, maybe something there. Zhao Yuji in the 80 carry, maybe he pushes on for a spot. Like, there's some things, but, like, LGD, not so much. So, their coach, Ziri, has been the coach for the last 2 years, and this problem they've had is not in only 2022 and looks like a 2023 problem, but 2021 they were even worse than last year. So he is 13-51 in his career as the head coach of LGD. They brought in Meteor, a player that did not play for a year and a half. They've brought in LPC, a person that has a future for sure, but lost their job with JDG last year to Hope and then didn't play again after the first couple weeks of spring. So they bring in those two players. They lost Fearness in top lane, Shadow in the jungle, Yageg in mid, and Asum in bot. Excuse me. My apologies. I'm still sick. So Asum was a player that I thought had a lot of potential last year, only 18 years old, and definitely had carry-like traits for this team. Now, going into this year at 21.8 years old, almost the same age as JDG, this team looks like this team is the leader for last place. IG looks bottom 5. This team looks like the leader for last. So, Chalizi in top lane is 22 years old. The last time they played more than a double-digit amount of games in a split was in 2021 spring with Thunder Talk. They put up a 2.3 KDA, 7.8 CS per minute, 61.1 KP. So, I mean, getting into more than the average amount of fights for a top laner at 61%, so giving up a little farm. So, average at best, 382 damage per minute, 21.6 damage share, 21.2 gold share. 13 champions in 38 games. Renekton, Gnar, and Ornn were his most played, so it makes sense that the damage is low with all those Ornn games in there. I was not impressed with his few games he played last year when he had a look. Zhao Zhu is his backup. I would not be shocked if Zhao Zhu ends up pushing for a spot. These numbers are with RNG's LDL team in summer. 2.85 KDA, 849 CS per minute, 569 56.9 KP, 558 damage per minute. So, won his matchup more often than not. RNG allowed him to leave. RNG definitely in a position where they may have to cut bait with some of their prospects to try and make money, given there's a lot of rumors around RNG and their money issues. So maybe this is a player they would have liked to keep. LGD takes them. Maybe this person is somebody to look forward to if you are an LGD fan. 22.9 gold share, 11 champions, 42 games. Gnar, Jack, Sejuani were the 3 most played champions. XJX is another bot laner, top laner they have. A 2.03 KDA, 857 CS per minute, 56.8 KP. So an aggressive top laner. 578 damage per minute, so even more aggressive than Zhao Mu, or Zhao Zhu, sorry. Zhao Mu's a different player. But XJX, I mean, looks like he dies a lot. A 2 KDA means this guy is definitely dying quite a bit. Winning his lane, very aggressive, 22.5 gold share. Only played 10 games last year. Jason Gnar were the 2 champions he played. predominantly. And then there's Rika. And Rika was LGD's top laner in the LDL last year. So we have they've brought in 2 players from outside the organization to try and like bolster their top lane prospect pool, because Rika looked awful last year. 2.56 KDA, 765 CS per minute. So he's giving up almost 1 CS per minute to the other 2 top laners they just brought in, all at the same level of play in the LDL last year. 55.2 KP, so he's getting into less fights than them. 485 damage per minute, 100 damage per minute less than the others. 20.8 gold share, 9 champions in 32 games. Nar, Sejuani, and Gragas were his most played champions. So clearly LGD sees a problem. They're trying to address it, bring in multiple players. And this would occur in multiple roles on this team this past offseason. In the jungle, you have Meteor. These stats are from BLG in 2021 spring. He's 23 years old, a 437 KDA, 688 CS per minute, 717 KP. Obviously, a very different meta in 2021. We'll even see that in his most played champions. 329 damage per minute, 16.9 damage share, 20.2 gold share, 9 champions, 38 games. Graves, Olaf, and Udyr, most played champions. Clearly a 2021 meta in 2021 numbers. I mean, did not fit the dog meta last year. Maybe that's why he didn't get a job. I mean, I would be concerned that LGD is bringing in a player that's been away from the game for a year and a half. It's not like what Ultra Prime did with Ning. Ning at least has won before. This guy has not. And then another puzzling move. They bring in Sixu. I'm going to go with Sixu, who's 24 years old, so even older, to play backup at 556 CS, 556 KDA, 645 CS per minute, 714 KP. Those numbers are very similar to Meteor. Well, that is because Sixu, these numbers are from when he was with RNG's LDL team in 2021. So once again, we have another player that played in that carry meta and hasn't played since. 336 damage per minute, 20.2 gold share, 12 champions, 48 games. Lilia, Olaf, Udyr. So, 2 players that did not play at all last year at all. I mean, really. And they're LGD's junglers. Now, LGD's jungler that they had in LGD Young last year, Yuzhen, had a 3.59 KDA, 451 CS per minute, 72.3 KP. Now, I understand that it was a dog meta, but 4.5 CS per minute, that is not high enough. Like, he is losing and getting gapped in the jungle at 15 minutes more often than not. 271 damage per minute, 17.5 gold share, 7 champions, 32 games. Viego, Trundle, Wukong were his most played champions. So, once again, LGD are bringing in players from outside the org to try and help. But, I mean, these guys aren't even prospects at 23 and 24 years old. Mid lane, Hai Chao won the job over Yeg, I guess. Hai Chao had a 4 KDA, 8.3 CS per minute, 68.6 KP last year with LGD. 441 damage per minute, 24.4 damage share, 21.8 gold share, 9 champions, 23 games. Ari, LeBlanc, and Corki is most played. I think Ari, he played 8 times. So, a lot of Ari. You know, a young player at that point last year. I think he was 18 years old. So, there's growth there. There is something to say about, okay, well, maybe he can get better. I don't really know how much better he's going to get with the players around him. It looks like a disaster, but we'll see what happens. XQW is the backup. Played with LGD Young last year. If you've seen his picture on Leaguepedia, I've mentioned before, he has a crazy head of hair. A 3 KDA, 859 CS per minute, 70.4 KP. So definitely doing well at the LDL level, earning his way to deserve at least consideration at some point this year if he does continue to improve, to force LGD's hand and give an opportunity to play some games. 739 damage per minute. So I know it's a lower level of competition, but he out-damaged Hai Chao by 300 damage per minute in summer. 22-9 damage, 22-9 gold share, 10 champions, 32 games. Corky, Silas, Akali were his most played champions. So I wouldn't be shocked to see this guy push Haichao for a spot at some point in spring. Because LGD, look, I mean, they're going to have to do something. In bot lane, you have LPC. At 21 years old, he's only played a couple games the last few splits. All these numbers that I'm going to rattle off here are from 2021 in the LDL with JD, Joy Dream, JDG's LDL team. Had a 501 KDA, 896 CS per minute, 74.7 KP. Looking at those numbers a little deeper, he had a lot of Senna games. 8 of the 57 games he played were Sennas, so that hurt his CS per minute. When you look at all his other champions, it's pretty standard, if not better than standard. So he did earn himself an opportunity with JDG's big club last year. Now, it worked out for JDG. They went with Hope, and he took them to the quarterfinals before inting. And I mean, I know Hope inted, and JD, he was the problem with JDG. But in the grand scheme of things, it is a success to get that far. So, I mean, they made the right call. LGD now have LPC. 74.7 KP is extremely high. 3 out of every 4 kills at the time. 561 damage per minute. 25.7 gold share. 9 champions, 57 games. Kesa, Samira, and Tristana his most played. Excuse me. Ran L was LGD's LGD's LDL 80 carry last year. 413 KDA, 892 CS per minute, 73.5 KP, so very close to LPC's numbers. I mean, I know the KDA is a little skewed, 0.9 different, but the CS per minute and the KPs are close. As our damage per minute at 565, gold share 25.3, 10 champions, 32 games. Lucian, Zeri, Ezreal, most played champion, so definitely gonna compete with LPC for this spot. At support, you have the oldest player on the team in Jin Zhao, 2.3 KDA, 68.6 KP, 13 champions, 42 games. Nautilus, Renata, and TK were his most played. I thought Jin Zhao kind of stunk last year, but all of LGD kind of stunk. So it's really hard to, outside of Assume, I mean, it was bad. So hard to really blame him, but at 24 years old, he kind of is what he is. They have 3 backups that come from different places. So Fang, these are from Young Miracles, is who he played with in the LDL. 427 KDA, 73 KP, 13 champions, 31 games. Nautilus, Leona, Renata in summer. XLC, 461 KDA, 77.2 KP, 4 champions in 12 games. Nami, Yumi, and Alistar were his most played champions. This was LGD Young's support, in addition to somebody else that they must have let go at that level. So that is who they had, and instead they bring in Fang, and then they bring in Yewang. Yewang, 3.34 KDA, 66.7 KP, 6 champions, 40 games. Played with LNG Academy in spring. But because he only played 6 champions in 40 games, Nautilus, Leona, and Rakan were his most played. That was an engaged meta, a very, very small champion pool. It is definitely a kiddie pool when it comes to his champion options. So you look at top lane, they've brought in a couple players. They brought in a couple players in jungle. They brought in a couple players in support. What does that mean? It's hard to really tell. I like to think Zhao Zhu in top lane is going to make a push here for the top spot. The jungle, they brought in a relatively old man. I don't understand how that helps anything. And at support, I mean, they have options to kind of supplant Jin Zhao if they decide that, hey, we don't need a 24-year-old support anymore. It's not going to help us because this is not good. So if you're an LGD fan, try and sell it. You know, give yourself some hopium. I don't see it here. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube member. And thank you for watching.